Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Crystal. Today, we are going to be talking about three very important areas of our lives as professional women. And I'm going to wrap this conversation up and share with you how we can go deeper into this work. And so I'm really excited I'm trying not to jump ahead of myself, but many of you, if you've been following me, you know that I recently did a 4-week strong marriage series. And that was a time for us to learn some of the things that we may be doing in our relationship and just to give you an idea of how we can do things differently, right? One of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou is when she says, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, then change your attitude, right? And it's so interesting because I really believe in our relationships, especially that also what that quote also means to me is being able to take a moment to look inward and see, what is it going on within you that's maybe making that such a trigger point in your relationship, for example. But before I jump ahead, I want to just share with you some examples of things that you may be saying to yourself right now in your current life that it probably could be producing some unwanted, undesired results in your life. I think about Proverbs 30, and it shares how, the way that you confess your thoughts, impacts your results. And so it says, rather speak life to every situation around you, right? Your spouse, your children, your home, your work life, all of that, right, comes into play when we are deciding how we identify in those areas of our life and what we want to believe about those areas of our life. And look, I've been kind of guilty of this too, where I may say something like, girl, I am a mess today to one of my girlfriends. And we both will giggle and, talk about whatever the thing is that I felt I was a mess around. But I've been thinking about that. And I just want to challenge that. I want us to decide ahead of time how we want to speak life, right? And thrive in the three areas of our lives: home life, our relationship with ourselves and our spouse and others, as well as our career. And so I want to share with you just some of the things that you may be telling yourself now. And then I want to share with you just one small little mindset shift that you can practice today. And then I'll share with you more information about my mastermind, where we're going to really do a deep dive into this work. And I'm so excited about this mastermind. I'll just give you a little sneak peek because these are areas of my life and my teaching and coaching that I have really talked about over the last few years, but I've never put it together in one container. And so I'm really excited to share with you at the end a little bit more about the mastermind. But first, I want to read to you some of the ways that you may be identifying yourself right now. You may be telling yourself, I'm a mess. I am all over the place. That's hard for me. I don't know. I just blow up sometimes. I'm not good at whatever the thing is, right? I have to do everything, right? So if one of your identifiers is I'm the mom, or I'm the woman in the household or whatever that has to do everything, you know what I already know about your life? You're doing everything, right? And so I can know that about you without even knowing you because the way that we identify, right? The way that we think and believe about ourselves, that is what we create in our life. And I just want you to take a moment to just even sit with that. What are we much of the time unintentionally creating in our lives by the way that we're speaking over our lives and the way that we're believing? And something else that I think may come up is to be a good mom, wife, partner, like fill in the blank, to be a good, employee, business owner. I need to, or I have to, whatever that is. And so I want you to get really mindful about how it is that you're speaking over yourself. This summer, I did some work in a reinvention mastermind, and I was able to uncover a very, very limiting belief that I had created when I was a kid. And it sounded something like this. I've already experienced enough discomfort, like for the rest of my life. So I, by all means, want to be comfortable when I can, right? And I know that sounds like super simple. And keep in mind, I feel like I've been blessed with so many opportunities, meeting amazing people that God has placed in my path. And I have accomplished some things, right? I haven't just been sitting on the couch for 4 decades. However, when I think about what I feel God has put in my heart to do and what the way that He wants me to serve others and the way that He wants me to help women, especially, I can't move forward saying, I don't want any more discomfort, because with growth, there will be discomfort. That's a guarantee, right? Discomfort is the currency of growth. And so I had to realize after looking at that, or uncovering, because that's what the work is, right? It really is about uncovering some of these default beliefs that have really been just rooted into our neural pathways in the way that we think, and they just become a part of us, and we really don't question them until now, until today, when you are driving or jogging or maybe taking a lunch break or whatever it is, and you're listening to this podcast. I really want us to begin to uproot some of these beliefs that seem so subtle, but the way that they're showing up in our lives are really limiting us from being all that we can be. I know that sounds a little corny, a little cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. And so the second part of that, once we just determine how we've been identifying with ourselves, right, or how we've been identifying in different areas of our life, the next part of that I want you to do is think about your ideal situation. So when you're thinking about your home life, or you're thinking about your relationship with your spouse or your partner, you're thinking about your business or your career, what is that ideal situation? What's that future version of you showing up like in those areas? And I want you just to think about one way that you can start identifying in each of those 3 areas. So I'll just give you 2 of mine. One of them is, and this is for my home life, I coordinate an orderly household that supports me and my family, right? So that's one, because I've done this work, right? I've done this work ahead of you. So that way I've tested it, I've coached others on it. And of course, it's a never ending journey. There's always more to learn and to be revealed in these areas. But I'm really proud that I've done the work to be here before you and share with you some of these things. So that way you don't have to go through some of the drama, some of the extra stress and frustration that many of us end up going through. So one of my identifiers, right? One of my new identities recently, like in the last few years, has been I'm a woman that coordinates an orderly household that supports me and my family. So that's going to create some friction against maybe some of the other beliefs that someone else may have about me and how I run my household. Okay, so if someone has some drama about me having a nanny or house cleaners or lawn guys or whatever that is about them. I am a woman who coordinates an orderly household that supports me. See how I put that in there first? Me and my family. Because if I'm falling apart, I ain't helping nobody, including, let alone my family, me or myself, but in this business as well. So another thing that I have developed over the last 2 years, specifically, like really, really, check my ego and really did some work around in my relationship, I decided that one of the identities that I was going to have is I'm a woman that's willing to have uncomfortable conversations to get to a place where I understand more about myself and my husband. And trust me, that one took some work because, who is excited to have a hard conversation with their spouse? No one, right? However, it happens. And so if you don't have like rules for engagement, right, or ground rules for a disagreement in your relationship, or if you're not being proactive in those areas, many times it may lead to a blow up where the result is just a blow up. I want you to be in a place where the result is, yeah, that was pretty uncomfortable. And gosh, I really understand that about you now. That makes sense about why you show up like that when we're X, Y, and Z. Or maybe it's just a moment where you're just having compassion for your spouse or your partner as another human being that has stuff that they're working through just like you do. And so those are the three things that I just wanted to walk you through. I wanted you to be reminded of how you're speaking over yourself, how you're identifying, right, currently. I want you to think about your ideal self in those three areas of your life. And then I want you just to take one way that you're going to now define yourself or identify yourself within each area. So be encouraged that you can do this work. And I want to offer that you don't do it alone. So that leads me to my invitation to my mastermind. So I am so excited to share this. So the time of this recording is December of 2022. Next month, we are starting a brand new year. And like I said earlier, I have finally, I don't know why I didn't think about this years ago, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be, right? And so next month, we are going to be starting with an intimate group of women in my mastermind, the Change Makers Society. And this is basically a group of women who are going to come together and we're going to do the work on our home life, our relationships, as well as our careers. If you are one of those, ladies in the morning where, you're trying to figure out if it's hot lunch for one kid, are you making lunch for the other? Is it blue day, backwards day, where you're supposed to bring the juice boxes for the Halloween party? Like, if you just have a household that's a little chaotic, right? Can't find the dog leash that's the good leash that doesn't wrap around Fluffy's paws when we turn that corner. I mean, just imagine sometimes how hectic the daily life of a busy household can be, right? So I want to challenge you that nothing has gone wrong there, even if it feels a little hectic, and there's another way that we can go about that. If you are having, like I said earlier, if you and your spouse are not being proactive in connecting and having communication with one another, and you don't have rules for engagement, we are going to change that. So I'm going to give you back 5 hours of your week, every single week, as we create an orderly household that serves you and your family needs. And hey, and if you're single, you still have a household, right, that you have to operate in. So this counts for you too. And same thing with your career. If you're, looking at those numbers every month or your business and you're like, I am under earning. Trust me, if you're in that situation, that impacts how you show up to conversations with your spouse, right? So if you're in a relationship with someone and you're under earning, many times that is going to show up in your conversations around finances, right? Because you have some thoughts. And remember, they're not right or wrong, but you have some thoughts about your value. And I hate to say it because your worth is always 100% intact, but some of you may even be questioning your worth, which kills me. But let's just be honest there, that sometimes we make the mistake of connecting, right, the dollars that we bring in to the worth that we already have, to the value that we're already bringing to the table. So I want to invite you to go over to my website, which is crystalallen.com/mastermind. And I'll also make sure that there's a link in the show notes here. And I want you to learn more. I want you to learn more and get educated about what I'm going to be sharing with you in this mastermind. And I want you to know that this is going to be your one-stop shop to start 2023 off. This is going to be the place where we're going to come together for 90 days. You don't need a year to change things. We're going to come together in 90 days and we are going to transform. We are going to uproot identities that are not serving us, right? And we are going to transform them into identities that we can be proud of. that when we think about that version of our future self, we are so proud that one day at a time, we are showing up for her. That just makes me so excited. So I am guessing that you are just as excited as I share with you some of the things that we're going to be talking about, because the beautiful thing about this, the things that you're going to be getting encouraged on, supported on, coached on, the tools that you'll receive in this mastermind. I've been very intentional in how I've set this up, and you're going to be using this stuff way after you and I have worked together. These are lifelong tools that will serve you for the rest of your days. And I feel so bold in saying that, but I believe it because I know it's true. All right, everyone, that is it for today's episode. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.